Hi, it's Odeean here. Today I've got Mastermind Creations Leo Dux. I recently got a huge pile of loot that had been sitting there for several months. This guy was in it, along with iGear's Thrust and Dirge and a couple of the others you've seen from videos that I did lately. I like this guy the best out of that box. So I didn't review him right away because a lot of people have already talked about these guys, but I thought it's high time I did say something about him. Leo Dux is one of those rare figures where I like him in every mode. I like him so much. I want to get more, but I just can't afford to get doubles of these guys. There's so much third-party stuff out there that I can't do that. But in years gone by, this is the kind of figure that I would have doubled up on. He is beautiful. I've started the video off in line mode, and I've done that because I think most people kind of neglect the line mode a bit. I know that while he was in production, there were some criticisms of the thickness of the hind legs and how it looked in general. I really like the way it looks in line mode. Admittedly, some angles, like three-quarter poses, look better than others. If you have it straight on like that, it can look a little bit stretched out, but I think this line mode is pretty fantastic. For comparison, here is the Takara 2010 reissue of RazorClaw. I do have an original Hasbro version, but he's a bit beat up. I like the way Mastermind give us enough to make it look like the characters. That's one of the reasons in my mind Mastermind Creations are kind of the #1 third-party toy company at the moment. I know a lot of people really like Fans Project, but for me, I like the cues Mastermind give us from the original characters. This is by no means exactly like this. It is so much more, it's been improved a lot, but I can tell instantly who that is, and it looks a lot like the original character, which is what I want, especially in the face area. So stuff from Fans Project in a few instances has been getting a little bit too artistic for me, and they've kind of been drifting away from what I like. But this RazorClaw, this Leo Dux, is pretty spectacular. Now, he does have some posability in the neck. It's a little bit limited. There's kind of a peg that pegs into the back of the robot mode head. If you unpeg that, you can get a little bit more. I prefer it to be a nice solid connection, and I don't want to unpeg it, so I just kind of live with that. It's more posability than the original ever had, which is cool. The mouth opens and closes, and I love the look of that face. The face is just one of the best parts of the whole toy to me, and they've gone the extra mile putting silver paint on those teeth, and the silver paint's done really nice. The eye, it has the ability to kind of pop if you catch it in the light just the right way, but because it's a little bit recessed, it often comes off looking dark, but that's not a big deal. If you've got plenty of lights, it does show up somewhat. These cannons on the back are kind of black chrome. I like the way that it looks. It really makes the detail stand out more. You can see sometimes with just the matte black plastic that they use, the details get a little bit lost, especially on video. Not so much with these shiny black chromed guns. Now, I tend to like them just angled up a bit. If you choose, they can pull right forward like that, or they can sit flush right down like that. But as I said, I like them kind of like they're in use, just poking up that way. Or if you really don't like them or want to put them somewhere else, you can just pop them off. They've got kind of this slot thing happening here, which is their own kind of peg. On Leo Dux's back, we have this fat peg hole, and this is for attaching, I think it's for attaching the wings in Predaking mode when this is the torso, so Dive Bomb's wings can go up there, but also for attaching the wings in lion mode, so you can have a winged lion. I'm sure there's a mythical name for what a winged lion is. I don't know what it is, but that will look so awesome. Yet another pressure to get more than one, because even though I'm going to love him with wings, that will be just badass, I'm also going to want a proper functioning dive bomb. So I've got a feeling I might end up with 2 dive bombs, even if I don't double up on the whole set. Transforming back to robot mode is pretty easy and pretty straightforward, but it's got enough going on that it's still interesting. So really what we want to do is fold this up, and you'll see there's a groove running in there. That's like a locking thing, so once you compact it down, it doesn't keep rotating. Now we can leave how does this work? I think we can leave those little feet out for the time being. Separate the legs. You'll see that bit that just fell out. This is a kind of, if there's anything I don't like about the set, it's probably the use of extra parts for the tail, but these have other functions in the combined mode and in the robot mode, so it's not a bad thing. I just think I would have preferred a tail, a real tail, but if they had gone that way, it would have been a smaller tail, so it's hard to say. Grab this whole section. Oh, before I do that, untab this bit down here and then grab the whole section, turn it around 180 degrees. Now I think we want to keep this at the back. Maybe I could have done that at the same time. It can tab back in either way to his butt. Now in the box when it's shipped, I think that was involved in holding the shield on, which I'll show you in a minute. I like to not keep the shield on unless he's in combined mode or on his robot arm or something, but there is this other piece over here that was kind of like a big nappy hanging off the back in robot mode. I guess that kind of forms the groin on Predaking. Get a good grab of the leg, extend it out, do the same for both sides. It's a pretty solid and satisfying mechanism too. Now this little bit in here is going to untab, and as you move it down, just rotate it like that. Leave this big combination peg alone. It can stay right how it is in there. Do the same for this. This is going to form the heel of the RazorClaw robot mode. Turning it around to the other side, get your fingernail in this and slide that down like that. Now there's a little bit in here that you can pop out too. There we go. So that's just for extra stability, and that kind of forms the front of his robot mode boot. I'll do the same thing for the other side. So now basically they're his two legs. Fold back the lion claws and tab them in like that. Open up this fist area and pull out the fist, put it into the right direction. I mean, this is a pretty straightforward transformation. Nothing too fancy going on, but everything it does really satisfyingly, solidly and well. You can hear those clicks as I'm doing it in there. What does that leave us with? It leaves us with untab, or unpeg rather, the neck off the head. So you'll see there's a screw hole there, and that was pegging into the screw hole. And I think all we got to do is condense this down kind of like that. Now something is not quite right. Maybe, yeah, that's it. Have to get this bit out of the way just so it can move all the way down. It does seem to poke out a little bit far, but you do get used to it. And I mean, the character is a character who has a huge lion head on his chest, so it's not as if it was ever going to disappear. That's about it. RazorClaw, or Leo Dux. That leads me back to this bum guard thing that was on the robot, and I've transformed it a bit, but it was kind of hanging down like this. It just looks weird. I don't really see any reason to put it back on. It is quite flexible, and you can really tie yourself in knots trying to figure out how to turn this around to be in its best form for the arm. So I guess it's up to you how you put it on, but the way I do it is like this. That seems the most compact and condensed down form, and it also leaves this little tab here that you can stick right into the forearm. I think that's how it's supposed to go. So it's a pretty good looking shield, and for me that's all it is. In combined mode I'll use it for its purpose, but I've got no interest in leaving that on his backside. Leo Dux also comes with these two amazing bladed weapons, and they look so fantastic. But I would have preferred if he had a sword much like the G1. I know that there's some customizers doing a reproduction of the Unique Toys swords if anyone wants to buy it. I don't think I'm going to go that far as to buying another one, but I don't really want these to use in the robot mode. I don't mind having a huge sword for the Predaking mode, but I don't feel that these go very well with the toy. But if you do want to use them, they can go in relatively easy. What you've got to do is just, once you've worked them in there, you've got to find the spot where they kind of get in the right circumference of that circle, and then they're locked in. So you can see he's holding that no worries. It's not like it's going to fall out, but I do think it looks a bit odd. Now I know that they've been selling something, I think it's called stag cleavers. I didn't buy it, but it looks like an even more souped up version of this. So I think it's pretty obvious someone likes it. It's just not exactly for me. The posability and stability of Leo Dux is also amazing. All this stuff that they gave us here, like the little panels, they may look a little bit odd from certain angles, but the end result is just beautiful stability. Now I know he's rocking a little bit here, and that's because I've got it on this necker box just so it helps the black plastic show up a little bit better, because it's hard to put on camera. But on a hard surface, he is rock solid standing up. His joints are so sturdy. Listen to this. It just feels, like it's engineered so tough in the hand. It is just a rock solid figure, and I've got no issue at all with any of the joints. They all have a perfect action, like there's no things obstructing them, and they don't feel overly tight, and they're definitely not overly loose. It's just right. It's like it's at that exact point where it's so usable yet so strong. Very satisfying. Like even the ball joint in the neck. I've got a few figures with ball joints in the neck where the head tends to flop. This one, you stick it in a spot, it's going to stay in that spot. Like the ball is nice and tight. You get what I mean? These cannons can also be pulled out and positioned over the shoulder like this, so you can use them as guns, like shoulder mounted guns in robot mode. That's pretty good. But remember, they do come out, so if you untab it like that, it's supposed to be able to peg into the arm. I haven't tried it before, but I've heard it can be a little bit tight because of the paint. I'm not sure how that's going to go. No, that's a perfect fit. So I don't know where those complaints were coming from, but at least on mine, the tolerance of that tab or peg, whatever you want to call it, into the forearm is spot on. Like it's not loose, doesn't feel like it's going to come out. Very good. One final detail about these cannons is that because I think these form the big guns on Predaking, they can also extend upwards. Now it doesn't seem to be by a huge amount, but it is pretty cool. I wonder if that glossy surface is going to have issues with friction going in and out of there. I tend to like them closed up a bit, and I don't feel that they're really big enough for Predaking mode, so I'll probably just be leaving them like that. Here's a size comparison with Hegemon. I kind of like how he's bigger than Megatron. It just gives, you know, he's the leader of his own team, and these are big bestial guys. I think they look good together. And here he is with iGear's version of Dirge. Again, a little bit bigger. And he's still just a little bit bigger than Orion. So you can tell he's a pretty big figure. And finally, here he is with himself. My final thoughts are that this is very close to a perfect RazorClaw. Very close to a perfect toy. I've got no QC issues of any kind on this figure. It's pretty damn good. I think for the price, I think it was about $120, $130. It's so long ago I paid for it, I can't really remember. For the price, it just feels very satisfying. Like when I had those iGear Seekers recently, or iGear Coneheads rather recently, they're a very similar price, but they have all kinds of little uglies on them, like tiny little snips where you can see there's mold flash being cut off, some panels that don't exactly meet, and like some of the tabs don't tab in properly. I was pretty happy with them, but when you put those in comparison with a figure like this, which is basically 100% good, it kind of makes me feel bad about them. At the time I was reviewing them, I felt pretty good, but in comparison to this is like leagues ahead in the quality control. And I think a lot of that's probably got to do with the love and attention that goes into the steps before they're manufactured, like with the design. You can see a lot of places, Mastermind Creations choose to have separate pieces of plastic with different colors rather than paint apps, and I think that helps in a lot of ways. Like, they still have paint apps on places like this, but you can see the main is multiple parts, and it's like the red section in here is actually a different piece of plastic, so that kind of thing helps make the figure more sound in the end, I think. This has been my video review for Mastermind Creations Leo Dux. I can highly recommend it. I'm Odeean. Thank you very much for watching. I really love that as I do these clicks, the plastic is not stripping itself. Every other third party, when they have clicks like that, maybe except for Fans Toys, you start to see white shreds coming off. Like, definitely if it's TFC or something like that, but Mastermind Creations, they've just got this down. A number one in my opinion.